Putting the spring back into your jump shot. I'm Tony. Welcome back to Streetball Strategies.
Yeah, I'm reppin' Broward County and it's never changing. Yeah, I'm going, that never fazed me. You bring the danger, that's entertaining. I feel like training, I'm ballin'. Feel like Harden against the Garden.
Today we're talking about the springiness that you have in your legs, specifically when it comes to jumping. But let me define what I mean by springiness, because I know it's kind of confusing. So when we talk about the ability of our legs to generate power and strength and be explosive, or as in today to be springy, there are differences in those categories. For example, when I say explosiveness, what I mean is having a lot of power and strength, but in a very small, short amount of time. So think about like sprinting, accelerating when you go to sprint. So you're standing still, and then in an instant, you need to have a lot of power, a lot of strength to accelerate very quickly in a very brief amount of time. That's what I mean by explosiveness. When I say power and strength, classic power and strength, I mean having that power, that generated strength over a period of time. So think about boxing out. When you're pushing into the ground, pushing into the guy behind you that you're trying to box out, doing that for seconds at a time, that's what I mean by power and strength. When I say springiness, what I mean is more down the path of agility. So when we're talking about jumping and springiness, what I mean is those jumping movements, they feel easy, they feel effortless. So when you're doing layups or jump shots, those movements don't feel difficult. You don't have to think about doing them. You don't have to really try to do them because your body just naturally does it without you having to try or think about it. That's what I mean by springiness. But what's going to happen on occasion is you'll come out to the court on a given day and your legs may feel strong, they may even feel explosive, but for whatever reason, when you start using them, when you start jumping, you just don't feel that springiness. Jumping feels like an effort on that day for whatever reason. It feels like you really have to try in order to get a good quality jump, because we're not dealing with the overall issue of like maybe the underlying reason why is your legs just aren't strong enough or they're just not conditioned enough yet. That's not the problem that we're dealing with today. We're assuming that your legs are strong, they are conditioned, but on whatever sporadic random day you come out here and you just don't feel that springiness, what can you do to deal with it on that day? Before we get into what to do about your lack of springiness for the day, let's talk about why this is happening and what we're trying to achieve. Usually when we're talking about lack of springiness, we're talking about your ligaments and your tendons in your legs. Usually your joints are not warmed up properly or intensely enough to be able to allow them to be springy on a given day. So when you're warming up for practice or game or whatever it is, you want to integrate into your practice something that is going to help you get those tendons and ligaments warmed up by getting blood flow as much as possible to your legs, through your legs, to those joints, so that they can get the nutrients they need to be lubricated the way they need to be to perform the way you want them to perform. That's why if you've ever played or watched, organized basketball, before practices, before games, there's shoot around and layup drills. The reason for that is not so much to warm up or to practice or to get your body used to doing those movements for those days, even though that's part of it. Most of all, it's to wake up those tendons and ligaments, because again, we're not worried about your muscles or your muscle memory. That's probably pretty well conditioned. What you need to turn on and get ready and warmed up are those joints in your legs to do the intense work they're about to do. So for the sake of warming up your ligaments and tendons and joints properly to perform the kind of springiness that you want, you're gonna have to experiment with your warm-up. figure out what works best for you. But just to give you guys a jumping off point, somewhere to start, what I like to do, I like to keep things very simple, very basic. And one of the ways to do that is just to simulate what you're about to do in the game, the kind of springiness you're about to use when you play in a game. So for instance, what I do is I'll go through whatever warm-up I'm doing for that day, and then I'll finish the warm-up, especially if my legs don't feel springy for the day. What I'll do is I will simulate shooting for the day, but without the basketball in my hand. Now the reason I do that is because this basketball is distracting. It's keeping my mind from what I'm trying to accomplish in that moment, which is getting my legs, my tendons, my joints warmed up properly. When I have this ball in my hand, I'm only thinking about the ball and the basket. I'm not concerned with my legs because this is the focus. So I put the ball down and then I go through shooting drills without the ball. Now what you need to do, what I want you to do, what I recommend is now you're focusing on control and power and strength and quality of movement. You're focusing on your form. I will start with free throws, right? Super easy, super low impact, right? Not a whole lot of movement involved in shooting a free throw. Not a lot of springiness required, though there is some, you could argue. So what I'll do is everything will be a minimum of 20 repetitions. But those 20 repetitions are going to be very intentional, very deliberate, very focused on good form, but yet having power and strength in those movements. So everything I do, I want to feel as much contraction in the muscles in my legs as possible and have as much control as possible over those contractions. The reason for that is because the more contraction you have, the more control you have over those contractions, the more blood you're going to force through your legs and thus through those joints. You want to feel strong when you're going through these movements. So I'll do 20 free throws without the ball in my hand, focusing on my form, focusing on power and strength. And then from there, as long as I feel like, okay, I have that down, I feel like my body's engaged in being able to shoot free throws with power, now I move on to layups. I'll do 20 layups each hand. And they don't have to just be basic layups. They can be floaters, they could be reverse layups, whatever you want, whatever you prefer, whatever works best for you, whatever you enjoy the most. The whole time focusing on power, strength, contraction, focusing on good quality repetitions with the very best form you can while being strong. So it's a 20 rep minimum each hand, then moving on to jump shots. The jump shots for me take the most time because I am most focused on shooting the jump shots. Because when you don't have springiness in your legs, your jump shot suffers the most. It requires such detail, such intricacy, such power and deliberate strength in your legs to shoot consistent jump shots. When I'm going through shooting drills without the ball for jump shots, they take the most time for me because I'm putting the most focus into them. What I like to do is 5 jump shots each from the 5 major positions on the three-point line, making sure everything feels strong, that I have control, contraction over everything, and every shot feels like a good shot. If I go through the movement and it doesn't feel right, it feels like I made a mistake, like if I were really shooting that shot I would have missed, then that shot doesn't count. I don't count that. I only count good quality shots. The drill is about trying to be as perfect as you can, right? With having good power, good strength, good contraction. Everything is under your control with power. So you're conditioning your mind to be strong, right? You're telling your mind that your body is strong, right? You want your mind to have that intention and that feeling that, okay, when you first came out to the court, you didn't have that power, you didn't have that springiness, right? But now, because you have gone through these drills properly, focusing on power, strength, good quality repetitions, now when the game starts or practice starts, now your body is ready. Now your mind is telling your body, okay, now we're strong, now we're springy, now we can do what you want and expect us to do. By the time you get done simulating the shooting drills that you're about to do in practice or the game, your body is going to be as warmed up as it can possibly be. If by the time you get done doing those drills, if you don't feel as springy as you would like, you are at least going to feel better than when you started. That's just the way the game goes. Some days you're going to feel weak. Some days you're not going to feel as strong as you would like. Those are just going to be off days, at least physically, right? And that means you're going to have to then compensate with other aspects of your game, usually your mind. The more you do that, the more experience you have, the better player you're going to be, because as you age, as your body breaks down, you're going to have to play with more of your mind than your body. So on your off days, while you're still young and fresh, use those days to get that experience of engaging your mind more than you usually would, because you depend on your physicality. On those days, get used to being more of a mental player than a physical player. That's putting the spring back into your jump shot. It's all about trying to get your tendons, ligaments, and joints as warmed up as possible by getting as much blood flow flowing through and around into those areas. Also accept the fact that you're just going to have some off days where your joints and ligaments and tendons are just not going to feel as strong as you would like them to, no matter how well you warm them up. So thank you guys for watching. If you found this video helpful, if you think it's going to help you perform better, more consistently out here on the court, please subscribe to the channel. This channel is about you playing the best basketball you possibly can and enjoying yourself while doing it. And we do it in unconventional ways by talking about unconventional things. While workouts and drills are important and you need them and you should watch them and you should practice them and you should go to those YouTube channels and subscribe to them and give them your support, what I say is, if you want to go deeper, if you want to go further, if you want to have a better connection with the game than just drills and workouts, this is the channel for you. And if you really want to support this channel, not only should you subscribe, but make sure to hit that thanks button down below. When you do that, you directly contribute and support this channel, and I cannot thank you enough for doing that. And as always, like, share, comment, hit that notification bell so that you're notified every single time every video goes live on this channel. And until then, I'll see you guys next week.
Reminiscing when my joints didn't fit me, they was hand-me-downs, but now the chest they hand me down. They help me win a Grammy, now I'm blacking out. Stock going up, ain't flat now. They ain't like how I be acting out. They playing foul, they hacking out.